Alright folks, what I did here was the Black Dragon wiring kit for headlights to upgrade it to a better system. Now I'm running a 280Z 1977 and it didn't really work. It works great, but I had to do a lot of work. Inline fuses, 10 amps. The bigger blades, I had to order these online because none of the local power stores had them. It's an 18 gauge wire that they run from the power source. So that goes over to the battery. It looks a little messy because I've got some heat shrink wrap in that. Then I wanted to keep them together, so I just a little bit of tape. Let's see. The relays they give you are not very popular, so I will be changing those out eventually. Alright, so you got one side, comes in and it says to the headlight. This plugs into the headlight harness. The drawback of that is in order to get that harness out of the back of the headlight bucket, you have to cut it. This just looks like electrical tape because it is. There are butt end connectors underneath there, and I should have soldered them, but I didn't. So you got one set that runs from there all the way over to the driver's side. That's the long wire there. The short side here goes underneath right there, and this plugs into the back of the headlight. I actually had to cut that. I had to splice it back in and use heat shrink because the back of the headlight bucket does not fit the connector. It's too big, so you'll have to cut that. I bolted in a ground right there. Scraped off all the paint with a wire brush and then drilled the hole through it. So that's the ground. They work great. Let's see what we got. That goes through the railer. If this was a little bit longer, I'd like to loop it down just like the factory one and then come up, but since it isn't, oh well. Pulled off the side markers just to easier access. There's 4 bolts at the back of the headlight bucket. You cannot reach them up from up front. These are just ankle adjusting. 4 bolts. You've got one up top here, one bottom, one on the left, one on the upper right. You got to go from the back side. Alright, driver's side. I looped this underneath the airflow meter. Let's see. And there was a factory prong there to hold it on. Goes through, and then we got, comes out there. This is the longer side, so it works great. Once again, I had to cut all 3 ground and the red and yellow wire, or the blue and yellow wire, to get that through the headlight bucket. That's what I did at the back of the bucket. And I picked those up at Ace Hardware. Just a little grommet. The factory grommet was garbage. I used a little bit of heat shrink tube, and looks a little wet up there, but that's liquid electrical tape. So that way, if it does rub, it doesn't rub too bad. And then once again, did the same thing. Scraped off the paint and put a ground in there. Alright, back of the headlight bucket, there's one of the bolts. That's the bottom. The other ones are up hiding. There's one up there, one there, and one right there. Most of the bolts that came off of the shroud here snapped, so I've got to drill those out and fix them. A lot more cutting than I expected. They say it's a plug and play. It's really not, but it works. Works great. I'll post another video or edit them together that shows it on. Alright, have fun. Good luck with that. There's another guy, Dave. I think he's got a better headlight harness. Requires less splicing and cutting and all that garbage, so it's probably a better idea to go through him than Black Dragon. I've probably spent $80 or $90 and then 2 weeks off and on to get it done. So